right. Welcome to Your Time, Your Money, the show where your time is just as valuable as your money. And we know that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a great episode today.
Yes.
Wonderful episode.
I'm very excited. You know, we've had a couple clients call in. We've had a couple situations pop up where people have dealt with identity theft. So, you know, we wanted to offer some value to our listeners from someone that kind of knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
maybe
more in-depth session. Let's put it that way. We have a short one out there, but a more in-depth session. Today we have a guest speaker, Jeff Lanza, #1 FBI keynote speaker, and really specializes in this cybersecurity world. Just to give you a little background, I'll do a nice flattering bio for Jeff today, but he's presented at places like Princeton and Harvard. He's been on programs like CNBC, CNN, The Today Show, Good Morning America. He has clients that include everybody from Wells Fargo to UBS, Citigroup, 20th Century Fox. I know you've done some consultation, Jeff. Also, I believe for some movies as well. So
that's awesome.
We're excited to have you here. One of the nice things too, we're going to plug this a couple different times. Jeff has a book out there called Cybercrime: How to Stay Safe from Online Fraud and Identity Theft. So if we'll put some links to that in the show as well, so listeners can pick up that material. And
we'll get you an autographed copy. Be our #1 listener.
Yes, can be done.
Nice. So welcome, Jeff. I guess maybe just delving into cybersecurity and kind of what it is, for a lot of listeners that just think is my password up to date, and they don't understand phishing, schmishing, all these other terms that are used pretty commonly. Maybe give us an overview.
Yeah. Okay. So, I travel around the country. I do webinars on these topics. And what I hear from people as I talk to them is the most common things that affect them from a scam and fraud perspective are phishing emails,
gotcha,
and text messages and phone calls that are designed to trick people and get access to information or their money. Ultimately, their money. If they can't get their money, they'll convert their information into money by stealing their identity. So I'll just start with one of the basic things that we've seen is that people get this phone call. That's the Social Security Administration calling, the IRS calling. You're behind on your taxes. You're going to be arrested. Your Social Security is going to be discontinued if you don't provide this information or go to this website.
It's almost like scare tactics, right? They use scare tactics.
Right. And what people should be aware of is the Social Security Administration and the IRS, they don't call you first, right? You're going to get a letter from them if there's a problem. The phone calls might come later. Try getting those organizations on the phone if you needed to talk to them, right? You're not.
We're calling you from the IRS.
Right. And Amazon doesn't care if someone bought an iPhone on your account. They like it when that happens. Your credit card company will catch fraud before Amazon cares about it. Don't believe those callers. They're designed to trick us and commit fraud and get us to give up our money and our information. Text messages can be used the same way, actually.
If someone gets a phone call, what's like the #1 way to vet that phone call as a fraudulent call or a suspicious call? Like, what's the #1 way?
Well, the #1 way is just to realize right off the bat, it's not them calling.
Not
right?
them.
Amazon's not calling. I guarantee Amazon's not going to call you and say that someone bought something on your account. They don't care. They want that to happen. The IRS and Social Security Administration is not calling you, right? Unless you've already communicated with them through multiple ways, generally through mail. All right, so the #1 way is they're not calling you. It's a scam.
So for our older viewers, is there a way to block some of those spam calls on their phone? Because that's a scary thing, right? My phone is ringing. I don't know who it is. It's an unknown number, right? How do I block those calls? What's my method, if there is one?
Well, it's a problem. It's gotten better because the government has forced the cell phone providers to do a better job of screening those calls and preventing those from reaching us, or identifying those as spam or possible scam callers. There's no really way to block the call effectively. You can block a number that's called you, but then they just use computer programs to generate another number to call you from that number.
Sure.
It's called spoofing the phone number. So you can block one number, but you're going to get calls from other numbers. I mean, I get at least 3 or 4 scam calls a day, but my cell phone provider says scam call likely, so I know not to answer that.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't say that, and you don't recognize the number, let it go to voicemail. If it's important, you'll get a voicemail. You can call them back. If it's your doctor calling, a dentist, somebody that's important you need to talk to, a contractor, you can call them back if you don't recognize the number.
Well,
Don't
especially for like credit cards, there's nothing wrong with hanging up and calling back the 800 number that's on your card.
Right. We're calling from the credit card company because we suspect fraud. We need your information, right? Like,
great, I'll hang up and I'll call you back.
Call the number on the back of your credit card. They'll tell you immediately if there's fraud on your account. You can talk to them at a number to be for that organization. All right. So don't call the number in the text message,
Jeff,
or answer a call that says, "Hey, this is your credit card company. We're going to send you a code to make sure it's actually."
Oh, true.
Never ever give a PIN code to someone that's been sent to your phone as part of two-factor authentication. That's for you to use, enter on a website, not to give to somebody else. That's a trick designed to take over your accounts.
I was doing some just a little bit of back research, and 2023, the fraud industry cost Americans $43 billion, right? Between fraud and then follow up and then court and then lawsuits. I think I wanted you to weigh in on the average American that has to deal with fraud. What would you say are the top 3 things that if someone did give away their information, what happens? Like, what's their top 3 worst possible sequences?
Well, generally, when someone has their information taken by a criminal, so we're talking about, when I say information, we're talking about social security number, the key to stealing your identity. That's the hardest one to get. If they have that, then they can open up credit card accounts using that identity of the victim. They can get loans and do other bad things too, medical care and all sorts of things in the name of the victim. So that's the number one thing, is they open up these accounts. And then the credit history that's created by the criminal who's not paying back the bills goes on your record, and then that's a big mess to clean up. The number one way to prevent that specific crime, identity theft for financial gain, is to freeze your credit reports. There are 4 credit reporting agencies. If you freeze your credit reports at those agencies, criminals can't open up accounts using a stolen identity. We almost have to believe our social security number is for sale. Right? There's been so many breaches involving social security numbers. It's out there on the dark web. It's for sale, and most likely, if a criminal buys it, they're going to do exactly what I described. But if you freeze your credit reports, they can't do those things. It's easy to freeze your credit reports. It's free. It doesn't affect your credit card relationships or your credit scores, and it protects you from lots of fraud.
How would someone do that? Just really quick. How would they accomplish that?
So I can provide you some information that has the credit reporting agency's specific websites where you go to those sites to freeze your credit reports. Each one, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and a much smaller credit reporting agency called Innovis has websites specifically designed to freeze your credit reports. I've done it myself. It only takes about 5 minutes for each one.
Cool.
You can always lift freeze. So if you want to get credit checked yourself, you can get a new credit card, a home equity loan, car loan, you can lift the freeze and then freeze it again.
We're gonna have those scrolling on the bottom of our display, so clients will be able to click them if they want to. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
And another area, right, that people get taken advantage of is Social Security and the Social Security system and payments. What are some ways that people can avoid, maybe some of the Social Security scams that are out there, or tapping into a person's benefits?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, not giving information over the phone when someone says, "This is the Social Security Administration, we need to verify your account," or whatever. Don't respond to those calls. But here's the other thing you can do that's really important. Set up your online Social Security account. Now, that's called your My Social Security account. Now, guys, you can do this regardless of your age. Anybody can set up an online Social Security account, but it's particularly important if you are eligible to collect benefits at the age of 62, because that's when a criminal, if they had your social, then go online and set up an online account using the stolen identity, and then have your benefits redirected or sent to their bank.
Go to their bank, yeah.
You can easily avoid that by going to your Social Security website, the Social Security website, ssa.gov, and setting up your My Social Security account. You'll have a strong password, a user ID, and then that locks it down. A criminal cannot then open up an account using your identity because you have an account set up already. And you can also track your benefits throughout your lifetime.
Yeah.
Right, with the account. Social Security Administration used to send that four-plex piece of paper. They don't send that anymore. So you have to go to online to check your benefits anyway. And you might as well have the online account set up, but it helps prevent fraud.
Yeah, and you definitely want to check your past earnings too. We find, quite a few people have a mistaken earnings or earnings that are false reported, and it affects their benefits. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of other benefits to signing on to SSA.gov and getting an account.
But that's two really easy action steps, right, for clients out there, or anyone listening is, I can freeze my credit or just set up my account on SSA, and I'm going to avoid a ton of problems.
Yeah.
Right?
But, two easy things to do right off the bat that'll keep you safe from lots of fraud.
In the lines of identity theft, most people think digital / computer / email type stuff, but there is a rise in identity theft for medical prescriptions.
Oh yeah.
And maybe talk about that a little bit, Jeff, and just what can be done in that world.
Sure. So when people steal your identity, generally they're trying to set up these credit card accounts and get loans in your name, Social Security benefits. We already talked about how to prevent that. So what happens when they try to get prescription drugs using a stolen identity, and that appears on the health record of the victim. So you have to check your statements carefully. Anytime something happens in your health account, whether you visit a doctor or you get a prescription, you're going to see some record of that provided to you by your health insurance company, and check those carefully to make sure that someone is not using your identity to get prescription drugs or to get medical care. Don't just ignore those emails or those statements that come in the mail. Look at them very carefully to make sure they're accurate.
One thing a lot of clients ask me, and it kind of goes along with the medical side, is logins, passwords, right? Like, I have so many passwords, I can't remember them. How do I organize them?
Or it's the same password for everything.
Right, or I have the same password for everything, right? So like, what's your, I guess, two-part question. What's your recommendation for people that have logins and usernames? And I guess what would you say to them on protecting their online identity to get into their accounts?
Okay, so the most important thing to do is to have a strong password and make it different for every account. Now, your username is generally going to be your email address, and you're not going to change that, obviously. You could have a separate username that's not an email address, but the key is to have a separate, unique password for every one of your accounts. And the reason why we do that is because if someone got your password, let's say your email password is password 1, not even a strong password.
Password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Someone gets that, they breached Yahoo or some other email provider. Now they know that your password is password 1. And then they go to your email account and they see you're getting emails from credit card company, and they say, oh, maybe you have an online account with the credit card company. So they put that in at the credit card company's website, and now they're in that one as well. If that's called credential stuffing, by the way, where they take credentials from one place and stuff it in another place. You need to have a unique password that's strong for every site. And here's what I recommend, guys. It's an easy thing to do. Forget about passwords. Use passphrases. Passphrases, something that's unique for each site. So I'll give you an example. I'm trying to come up with a passphrase for Amazon. All right, I'm on my Amazon account. What's unique about Amazon? Well, they have free delivery with Prime. Used to be 2 days. Sometimes it's 1 day. Sometimes you get same day delivery. I think Amazon's moving towards free delivery yesterday. You're going to get things before you even...
We want it yesterday, and it better be here yesterday.
Comes with a chip that they're going to implant.
As an example, make your password for Amazon free delivery yesterday. One long string. And that is easy for you to remember, easy to come up with, and it's unique. You're not using it for your email account or anywhere else because it doesn't make sense. And if you need to add capitals and special characters, you can do that too.
So passphrases. I like that. Very interesting.
Passphrases. Much better than passwords.
Yeah, a lot easier to remember too, right? If you're
Yeah. For your security account, maybe you say, "Show me the money."
Yeah. Jerry Maguire. We love referencing movies in our shows. We're talking about Willis. One of the top 3 that I found was file a report with the Federal Trade Commission. I didn't really understand what that meant, but I want you to weigh in on that. What does that mean to you?
You mean if you get your identity stolen, you're supposed to file a report with the FTC?
I literally looked it up.
The FTC is going to do absolutely nothing with that will help you. So you can file it if they want to know what's happening out there, but you're better off filing it with if you want to file it with somebody, go to ic3.gov. That's ic3.gov. It stands for the Internet Crime Complaint Center, and they categorize those things. They don't do anything investigatively either, but at least you can look at some of the reports on that site, and they'll say, this is what happened to me. Look at what's happening to other people.
The letter I, the letter C, the number 3.
.gov.
.gov. That's awesome. There's 4 easy steps right there. I already got 4 things written down. So your top 4 are way different than this Newsweek article I have. So thank God you're here, because now I know what to do if someone steals my identity.
Right. And also, if you can report to a police department if it's a local thing. If someone's trying to scam you locally, they'll act on that. There was a case up in upstate New York, in the Albany area, where someone was coming to pick up cash. Someone was being scammed out of $20,000 in cash, and they're actually coming to their house to pick up an envelope. Victim called the police, and they caught the person. They traced it to a bigger group out of Queens, New York. So these type of things can be investigated by the police. But if you're a victim of like a grandparent scam where you wire transferred $10,000 to somebody in a far off place in the United States because you think your grandchild's in trouble, the police aren't going to be able to help you with that. It's not a local thing, and the FBI is not going to operate do an investigation on that type of thing either. The amount of money is just not big enough. So on that point, the grandparent scam, you may have heard of it. Somebody calls up, Grandma, this is me. Grandpa, this is me. I'm in trouble. I've been kidnapped. I've been arrested. I've been in a car accident. Send money. Don't call my parents. We'll explain everything later. And a lot of people are being victimized by that. So a couple things to remember. Hang up the phone. Call your grandchild back at a number you know to be for them. See if they're really in trouble. You'll have time to help them. Also have a code word in the family that used to identify people. Right. So Jimmy, if this is really Jimmy, what's the code word that we've agreed upon? They're not going to know that. They may look up stuff on Facebook and know a lot about the kid, but they don't know the code word. So, and they're using AI. Criminals are using artificial intelligence to take voices of kids on TikTok, put them through AI, and then they're getting them to say anything that they want. So It makes it even more convincing for
AI. The AI voices are crazy because even one of our employees here, he uses AI for his voicemail, and it kind of sounds like him. And I was listening to Paul's the AI voice. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I can't believe it sounds just like him, but it's AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deep fakes can be used for fraud too. I'm going to jot that down. I may use that myself. In fact, I may just do an AI of myself doing these podcasts from now on. I won't have to work. I can.
Is this really what's a code word? What's a code word, man?
What's the code word, Optimus Prime?
It's really Jeff Lanza talking right now.
My God.
Jeff, can you spend a little time maybe talking about like a work environment where you're in an office setting, maybe some of the common mistakes that people make, because sometimes in a work setting or even out at, say, a coffee shop,
right,
or you're out in public and you're not really thinking about identity theft.
Right. Someone's looking over my shoulder. Someone sees my computer, right? Like, I mean, how easy is it to clone a phone or clone a computer? Or because we don't know. I mean, we don't know what we don't know, right? Like,
well, boy, there's a lot to unpack there with what you guys just said. So let's talk about the number one scam in the country in terms of profit for the criminals. Remember, it's all about profit. In a business setting, it's what we call business email compromise, is where they get an email account, they hijack it, or another way take it over, and then they send emails to employees to get them to do things like send money because there's this emergency. So we've seen a lot of scams related to that and a lot of profit generated for the criminals. The number one thing you can do in an office environment is to have, again, a strong password for your email account or passphrase. And always check with people. If you get an email about sending money to someone, whether it's in a business setting or personal setting, always call them up and say, did you send this email? Do you really need this money? And that will help eradicate some of those profits that the criminals are getting.
What's probably going to happen, and I hope it happens, is as people watch this episode, I hope this is our highest viewed episode ever. I hope that we can do some type of webinar, like an interactive webinar, because I know people are going to have questions as they watch this, right? Whether it be a bank card or I had this situation happen, right? Like there's probably so many scenarios that we can run. So I hope that we get a ton of positive feedback.
Yeah, you definitely don't want your passwords on a Post-it.
Oh my God.
On your computer.
Well, my next question was going to be like, how many passwords do you have, Mark? Like 50? Right? There's apps out there that I can download that will keep my passwords. Is that a good idea for my, like, if you know?
So one of the things I talk about in my webinars, those interactive webinars that you just mentioned, which is, we can kind of do that with clients and potential clients where we all get together in a Zoom session and start talking about these things. But password managers, which is what you're referring to, are very good for keeping track of your password. So, there's ones like Keeper, there's Dashlane, there's LastPass. There's Bitwarden, which is a really good one for free. So you give them all your passwords, and then you can access those when you need them. They'll even create passwords for you. They'll plug them in on websites if you need to them. They'll need to do that. You can use them across different devices, your phone, your computer. They have lots of features. And the main question people say, wait a minute, I'm giving this third party all my passwords. Well, they encrypt the passwords. They're designed to be secure. They're considered to be very secure and very reliable, and it helps us manage passwords. And it allows us to do all these different passphrases without having to remember them. You can't remember 50 passphrases.
Oh.
So you have somebody else do that for you. Costs you a couple bucks a month at the most, and helps keep you safe from lots of fraud.
Cool.
If our listeners want to, reach out to you for your services, I know you do a lot of keynote speaking. I know, like you said, you do webinars and other corporate events. What's the best way for them to reach you, Jeff?
Just an email. It's my name, Jeff Lanza, and it's at thelanzagroup.com. So that's THE Lanza Group.
We're gonna have that. We're gonna have that scrolling too on the bar for clients to click on.
Yeah, and I believe you also have another book out, Pistols to. I'm trying to remember the name.
That was my first book when I retired from the FBI. It's about communication and my life as an FBI agent and spokesman. But the main book that people should be more interested in related to this topic is on my website. It's about cybercrime and how to stay safe from cybercrime and identity theft. Much more recent book, has a lot of good information in it.
Yeah, once again, good book. If listeners want to pick it up, they can pick it up on your site. Where else can they pick it up?
Just on my website. I just sell it there. I don't have it on Amazon. I just
keep it simple. Don't pay anyone else to sell your product, right?
And one thing our listeners, I think, too, can take advantage of is, Cetera has a system that we use. It's called ID 360.
Yeah.
And it's a credit monitoring service. And it's, it's nice because they do, an annual review as well as monthly monitoring of your identity and actions that go on to help, repair, rebuild / protect it. What do you think of other services like that?
LifeLock,
LifeLock.
Right, yeah.
There's a bunch out there.
Yeah, they're very valuable. If, for a few bucks a month, in some cases you get a lot of services for free. I think it's a fantastic way to stay protected. Even though we freeze your credit reports, even though we haven't talked about this yet, but set alerts on your bank account and your other financial accounts, so if someone's moving money, you'll know about it. Those are easy to set up. But even though you have alerts set up and you're kind of monitoring things yourself and freezing things yourself, those services cover other stuff that we may not even know is affecting us. So you might get a text from them and said someone's trying to get access to this account, or someone's trying to open up a credit card account using your identity, and then you can take steps immediately to help resolve that.
Well, yeah, that's usually the biggest thing is lead time, right, Jeff? Like if I'm a victim of identity theft, but I don't know it, and a month goes by, now I'm 10 credit cards behind or 4 personal loans behind. Now I'm trying to clean it up, right?
A lot of damage can occur. A lot of damage can occur when that happens. And one thing we didn't mention too, that I think it's really important that I bring this up, is something called the tech support scam. And that's when a pop-up appears on a computer and someone may say something like, your computer's infected with a virus. Call this number, we'll help you resolve it. Don't ever call that number. They're trying to get access to your computer. They're trying to get your information. They'll put malware on your computer. They'll steal information, or even worse than that. Tech support scams, lots of money being generated for criminals that way. Do never call a number in a pop-up related to that under those circumstances. Problem with your computer, call this number, don't do it.
Just watched a movie called The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. It was a great movie. I'm a big Jason Statham fan. That's what happened in the movie. So.
And no violence in that movie at all.
None whatsoever.
I would guess one of the ways to kind of help protect against that is always know the network that you're logging into.
Absolutely.
Right. You use your hotspot on your phone versus the
Don't
Starbucks
use the public
Wi-Fi.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
A VPN, obviously. Something that your work has provided for you, or the security systems that you've set up at your house. Versus
I mean,
D&D
Wi-Fi, right? Wi-Fi. It's important. It's important people start to formulate some ideas and thoughts about this. And I'm glad you were on, Jeff, because a lot of our client base, they don't have knowledge about this. And you know what? Sometimes this is one of the best kept secrets, because until it happens to you, it's not important, right? Until it actually occurs, and now you get a credit card bill, or there's medical prescription fraud, or you're part of some type of scam and you don't know, then it becomes important, right? And I've had clients call me on a Saturday morning saying, darn it, I gave my social security number to some person, I don't know who I talked to, right? Like, and now it's like, what do you do now, right? Well, now at least we have 4 or 5 progressive steps on what you can do to protect yourself.
Yeah. And at that age, I mean, at the age where that happens, you're just trying to relax. Maybe you've just entered retirement.
Right.
You just want to enjoy life, go to travel or do other things with your grandkids, whatever. And all of a sudden, you're spending hours upon hours and days upon days trying to resolve that situation. And there's ways to stay safe from that.
Wow. Jeff, any other key points that you want to bring up as we wrap up here that maybe we missed? I think we covered quite a few topics today.
Yeah, I hope we get to do a webinar. I really do.
Yeah, I'd love to do a webinar and educate people in more detail on some of these topics. I would just say, keep an eye on your accounts, have alerts set up that online Social Security account, freeze your credit reports, and watch out for those phone calls and text messages and even emails where people are trying to get information from you. They're generally fraud.
And Jeff, your website again that listeners can get to you at?
Yes, so it's thelanzagroup.com, the www, the Lanza Group, Lanza, Lanza, group.com.
And the book is Cybercrime, How to Stay Safe from Online Fraud and Identity Theft by our guest speaker today, Jeff Lanza. And Jeff, we thank you for coming in today. If listeners have questions to us, they can reach Iron Tree Financial at 43 British American Boulevard in Latham, New York, 12110. They can also reach us on the phone at 844-444-YTYM for your time, your money. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with as many friends, family, and coworkers as possible. As always, it's your time
And your money.